What is going on, everybody? We're going to go ahead and do these recaps here. I tried to make the videos a little bit longer so I can fit in a good discussion in here. I'm going to do 2 teams per video. We're going to start with, I'm going to do it just how ESPN has it laid out. So I'm going to start with the AFC West, then go NFC West, then AFC South, NFC South, AFC North, NFC North, AFC East, and then end with the NFC East. So we're starting in the division that just won the Super Bowl with the Broncos. I'm going to go worst team in the division up to the best team in the division for each division that we do. So today's video is going to be the San Diego Chargers and the Oakland Raiders. Tomorrow's video will be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. Wednesdays will be the NFC West, so we'll do St. Louis and Seattle, then San Fran, Arizona, and so on and so on and so on. So that's how we're going to do it. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know what you think. I didn't want to try to cram all 4 teams into like a 6 to 10 minute video, just because I feel like I wouldn't be able to give each team that much depth that might favor a certain team or not cover something, and it would just end up being all over the place. So we're going to start with the San Diego Chargers. I'm just pulling all this from off of ESPN and then just from what I've seen. I know more teams better than others, so it might show, and then other teams I might not know, but still going to try to give an even recap across the board. So in passing yards, they were 4th in the league, which is not bad, and that's kind of surprising me, 4th. But they were 31st in rushing. They scored 20 points a game, which they were 26 in, and they gave up 25 points a game, which was 21st. Phillip Rivers threw for 4,700 yards, almost 4,800. Melvin Gordon only rushed for 640. I know he was hurt for a little bit. And Danny Woodhead was the leading receiver in yards with 755. So those are just players and just gashing things to look at, that your backup running back or your flex running back, however they want to categorize him, as your leading receiver in yards, of course. And that you didn't even cap 700 total yards from one rusher. That's pretty bad. Now, the big name free agents they have this year are Abdul, however you want to say it, Sam Acho, Adams at strong safety, and just a lot. Their whole defense is like pretty much free agents. Last year, they ended up drafting Melvin Gordon first, and they took pretty much all defense from there on out. So they finished last in the division. And then they're also trying to do the move to LA. I think the LA Chargers would be sick. I think the name flows better than the LA Rams. We'll see if they end up going ahead and making that move. Now, I know that they had one of the worst, and I mean absolute worst, offensive line in the league. And that's also a reason why why the rushing yards were just so low. They just didn't have an offensive line that could work. So that's why Phillip threw the ball so many times. That's why he had so many passing yards. And that's why their, I guess, scoring offense, or what was it, passing offense, was so high, because, I mean, they just constantly had to throw it. They have an absolute stud in Keenan Allen. He is definitely a number 1 receiver, could be a number 1 receiver on many teams. But from what I'm looking at, it looks like Malcolm Floyd is on his way out. So they need to find a number 2, whether that's through free agency, through the draft. If they want to try to mold some of the other guys to be a number 2, maybe work Woodhead more. But how much can you really work him is yet to be seen. And then it looks like Antonio Gates is making a decision on whether he's still going to be playing or not. So that could be another receiving threat down. So they could lose Floyd and Gates within the same year. And then Keenan Allen, I think he's recovering from ACL. I don't think it was Achilles. I think it's ACL. So their offense it needs a lot of work for sure, starting with the offensive line. So pretty much, who do they draft? Do they go offensive line? I mean, I kind of think you have to. Phillip isn't going to have forever left, so you need to kind of protect him as much as you can, and you got to get something out of Melvin Gordon. 600 yards isn't going to cut it. I think he's a great running back. I think he was the best running back taken in last year's draft. I think he can be something. Woodhead can also be something. But they had a league worst 3.46 yards per carry last year. They got to do something about that offensive line and find themselves another receiver. I think the backfield of Melvin Gordon and Woodhead is enough to get it done. I think Keenan, if Gates comes back, but Ladarius Green also isn't bad. I think his name's Ladarius Green. He's also not bad, but they got to find another receiver. But it looks like Eric Weddle is going to decide to retire. So that'll kind of be a huge blow as well. And it looks like Mel Kiper has them projected to take an offensive line, which I think is the decision they need to make. So they finished 4-12. I mean, you can get worse than that, but hopefully they get better. And we'll see what they decide to do. So we're going to move on to the Oakland Raiders. Now, they finished 7-9. I think the Raiders are on their way up. Oh, man. They finished 16th in the league in passing yards, 28th in rushing. So those are definitely two things they definitely need to bring up. They need to score more points. They need to score more. And they scored 22 points a game, which is 17th, and they gave up 24 points a game, which they ranked 22nd. I think their defense is great. I mean, the loss of Woodson, that leader in the locker room, is definitely a big blow. So some of the young guys aren't really that, I guess, quote unquote, young anymore. They've been going for a while. But Woodson's on his way out, and they just really need to find, if they can add like one or two more pieces on defense. I mean, you already got Khalil Mack, who is one of the just best defenders in the league. I think he might have had the biggest impact on defense last year, bigger than J.J. Watt. I think you could have made a play for him to be Defensive Player of the Year. I think J.J. just got it because, I mean, everybody knows J.J., and they also made the playoffs, so it's kind of hard to dispute that. I think they have something amazing in Derek Carr, quarterback straight. Latavius Murray with the backup, I forget his name. I think they're set on running back. They could really tighten up that offensive line. Same like the Chargers. They could really tighten up that offensive line. Michael Crabtree, Amari Cooper. I mean, you really can't get a better number 1 and 2 than that in the league. If Amari Cooper was healthy all year and Derek Carr was able to make some better throws when they really needed it, they have one of the best 1-2 punches on offense at receiver in the league. And Latavius Murray is a great, I mean, I won't go how here say great and like Hall of Famer and all that, but he is a top. I put him in the top 10 as running backs. But we'll see what they do about that. And then Oakland's also talking about moving and doing all that kind of stuff. So everybody out there is like kind of on the move. So I'm trying to worry about, like, are they focused about really trying to make better? Or are they just focused on the move? Or what are they really trying to do? It looks like they franchise tagged Donald Penn. I think most people know of Donald Penn because of Madden and not so much of play. But he's a good offensive lineman. So they need to find one more. Well, not one more. They just need to really solidify the offensive line again, whether it's through the draft or they decide to pick somebody up. Now, I think Mel Kiper has them taking a corner, which I feel like they do need secondary help. I feel like their D-line, I feel like their interior, their D-line to their linebackers is really good. They could use some secondary help, safeties and corners. Definitely bring that up. I think if they can draft a good corner that they feel like can go ahead and start, and if they can go ahead and plug in offensive linemen, from what I've seen from this draft and what I've heard from this draft is all about linemen, defensive ends, defensive tackles, and offensive linemen. There's no crazy like running backs coming out. There's no like Amari Coopers of this draft coming out. It's mostly like interior players this year. So last year they took Amari Cooper 1. Then they took the DN from Florida State. Then they took a tight end, a guard, inside linebacker. I mean, they took all over the place, which is good. I mean, they tested out many positions, and I'm not sure who they still hold on to and what they're going to do. But it looks like they have the second most salary cap room going into this offseason. Only the Jaguars have more space than them. So, I mean, they have the money. If they want to go in free agency and pick people up, solidify that offensive line. If they want to try to find a corner, I think a lot of corners are like on their way out. I don't think people are going to keep like, I see there's talks of Antonio Cromartie on his way out from the Jets and maybe Browner and so on and so on. So there's corners out there to be found. And they can tighten up that offensive line, they can definitely do some things. Derek Carr threw for 32 touchdowns last season and 20 yards under throwing for 4,000. Latavius Murray rushed for 1,000. And Amari Cooper received for 1,000. And Michael Crabtree was just an absolute touchdown machine. But I think they can really do it. I think they can definitely do it. Because, I mean, Kansas City, they just came out of nowhere at the end. But I think Oakland has something going. So, again, they finished 7-9. And that's going to be the first recap video that we do, guys. So let me know what you think about it. You like the format? Should I change something up, do something different, add some things, get rid of some things? We'll see how it goes. Hope you guys also enjoyed the gameplay. So, as always, guys, like, share, favorite, subscribe. Tomorrow will be the Chiefs and the Broncos. So, we'll see how that goes. Like, share, favorite, links. And as always, deuces.